Hey everyone, welcome back. We've got some sky-falling news. Polestar reportedly stopped accepting custom Polestar 2 orders because demand is too high. Am I hearing this correctly? This was released yesterday, February the 2nd. I need to understand this fully before I can give you my proper reaction. Polestar Online configuration is no longer accepting new custom Polestar 2 orders, and Polestar says that the reason is because demands are too high for its best-selling EV. For the Polestar 4, it's in Australia and Europe at the moment. For the Polestar 3, I believe it's in Europe, probably Australia as well, and probably the US. So they are accepting orders for 3 different vehicles, but the only one that's fully available right now is the Polestar 2. Polestar 4 is available, but only in China at the moment. Now, if I read into this further, here's what it says. Polestar has been having a bit of a rough time lately. While the company's sales were up 6% in 2023, that's a smaller growth than most of the EV industry has seen. In particular, Polestar's Q4 numbers ticked down to Q3. Despite the first deliveries of the new model, the Polestar 4, happening in Q4 in China, but that was only 800 units of those vehicles. So it's only at the last moment, towards the end of the year, that those vehicles really started to get into the hands of customers in China. You got to remember now, Polestar 3, the main flagship SUV, was delayed. The Polestar 4, that seems to be on schedule, but still a little bit delayed for European release by the looks of it. So the company received a significant blow as Volvo decided to sever its relationship with Polestar. That's not completely correct, in my opinion, because I read the statement and that's not what it said. So this article might be over-exaggerating a little bit, but let me try to understand a little bit further. It says here that Polestar was originally spun off from Volvo, which is true. It used to be a racing division within Volvo, a tuning division, kind of like Mercedes-AMG. So this leaves Polestar other partner Geely, and of course Polestar itself, responsible for Polestar's fate. I think we all deserve some clarifications. So here's the statement that Polestar released on their website. Polestar welcomes Geely's long-term commitment to its development and growth. I've already spoken about this in a video, but I will reiterate. Volvo is evaluating a potential adjustment to its shareholding in Polestar, including distribution of shares to its shareholders, with Geely Sweden Holding being the primary recipient. Okay, so they're moving their asset, a lot of their shares, to Geely, who owns majority of Volvo anyway. So Volvo Cars will remain a strategic partner in areas of R&D, manufacturing, after sales, and commercial. So keep in mind, this also says that Polestar has made significant progress in developing an all-electric model lineup. Polestar announced a strengthened business plan in November 2023 that sets a clear path for profitability, with business actions to manage costs, drive higher margins and cash flow. Polestar reduced its expected external funding needs to approximately $1.3 billion until target cash flow break-even in 2025, and is well advanced on securing the additional external funding required. So Thomas Inglis, Polestar CEO, says, with our growing lineup of exclusive performance car, Polestar is one of the most promising phase of its development. It goes on to say, we look forward to continue cooperation with Volvo Cars, as well as benefiting from even greater synergy with Geely on future orientation technology. Now, here's one of the things. In order for Polestar to get external funding, it needs to free up some space for that. But also, could there be a way to relieve Volvo of their funding obligation? Because if Polestar could be cash flow break even by next year, this means that the funding that Volvo has already given it, it probably don't need to give it anymore if there are demands for external funding. So by Volvo transferring some of their share ownerships to Geely, they could allow Polestar to grow larger actually. So this plan could benefit both, and this is what I've spoken about before, is that Volvo might not give up all of their shares. They might still own 10% of the Polestar share. 20%, 15%, we never know. All they said is Volvo is evaluating a potential adjustment to its shareholding in Polestar, including a distribution of shares to its shareholders, with Geely being the recipients. But there's no exact number on how many shares they're willing to give up to Geely. And personally, I don't think it will be all of their position, and here's why. Some information from the Volvo website, the global newsroom, The core of the Volvo Group, a premium car company with a strong commitment to sustainability and electrification, and a leader in automotive safety and automotive drive. Polestar, our electric performance car brand, created in 2017, and which we own nearly 50% stake. Nearly 50% stake. It looks like it's exactly 48.3%. As of an innovation lab for electric vehicle technology, cutting edge design, and new forms of ownership. They own a lot of Polestar, by the way, a lot of Polestar, so I don't think they're giving up everything. That would be silly. Mercedes gave up 10% of Tesla because if they sold at the highest point of Tesla shares, they would have made over $100 billion. But they didn't. I don't think Volvo is going to make the same mistake. Volvo also says we own also a 30% stake in Lynk & Co., a new car brand created by Geely in 2016. The sharing of technology between Lynk & Co. and Volvo, as well as joint production, creates economies of scale. Well, there you had it. I actually didn't know that Volvo also owned a small percentage of Lynk & Co., and they're not giving up that. So if they're not giving up their shares in Lynk & Co., what makes you think that they're going to give up all of their shares in Polestar? I just don't believe it. I think they'll give up a large percentage, but I don't think it'll be everything. But hey, let's get back to our article. So, the Polestar 2 did get a facelift. That's true. The new Polestar 2 for 2024 looks a little bit different, and I'm glad they changed the grille. And I'm glad they added the Smart Zone because it really does look different from the other Polestar 2 cars that are currently on the road. That differentiation is small enough, but also large enough to make a dent in the market. Because guess what? You'll know the difference. There's a reason why the new Tesla Model 3s look slightly different from the old Model 3s. Because you know what? You can tell the difference. Everyone can tell the difference. The lights look slightly different. The nose looks slightly different. The interior has interior lighting on the dashboard now. It looks slightly different. That is enough sometimes to make people think, you know what, if my neighbor is getting a new car, I should get a new one too. So let's continue reading into this, right? Polestar has a new Polestar 2. It has more performance as well. I made a video on this entirely. I'll leave a link below if you'd like. I made a video on this entirely. That the increased performance and the differentiation in look of the new Polestar 2 will be a great addition to the brand. And we all know that Polestar decided to sell less vehicles last year. They decided that because there was the price cuts that Tesla was enacting, and Polestar decided we're not going to do that. We want to remain as a strong brand. If we sell less vehicle this year, I guarantee you the demand will be higher next year. And it seems like they might have been correct. This usually buys sales of electric lines and often leads to drop-off in preceding quarters as customers wait for new version of the vehicle to come out. That's true. How about the people that were waiting for the new Polestar 2024 Polestar 2 to be released? But between Q3 and Q4 that didn't happen. So maybe Polestar hasn't been able to scale production of the facelift version quickly enough. That's a good point. You know, are they fully producing these things now, or are they still producing the old Polestar 2 as well? That's a good point. But it also says, or maybe customers were just not aware of the facelift, but it's still odd to see a drop in the quarter that facelift came out. That is true. But you got to remember, they explained that in their own article that they did this deliberately. They didn't want to drop the price of their vehicles. Their brand is more about quality, not quantity. They did explain this in a recent article, and I believe it might have been this one. Let's just find it. It might have been this one. Polestar announced global volumes for fourth quarter, including a strong start to Polestar 4 deliveries. Yes, they explain it here, that they simply didn't want to engage in price cuts. So it says Polestar continues to protect its exclusive brand position in what remains a challenging market, resulting in fewer deliveries in the fourth quarter, and now expects a gross profit margin for the full year of around break even. And now expects a gross profit margin for the full year around. You know, that's incredible. This is their words. They decided to protect their brand position, meaning protect your brand quality. Don't lower your standards. Don't lower your price to please the short-term market. Think long-term. Think like Porsche. It's all about quality and less about quantity. So they expressed it right there why they sold less vehicles in 2024. So they expressed it right there why they sold less vehicle in Q4 in 2023. But the article does add, and I quote, "So one might think that things are looking shaky for Polestar, but the company's order website suggests otherwise. This is looking good." But of course, it's the start of the year. The start of the year is actually usually a slow start for electric companies and for just automakers in general. Luxury brands. It's usually a slow start to expensive. That usually builds up towards the holiday, especially Christmas. This is why Q4 is known to be the biggest part of the year for consumers spending. So if they're seeing a surge in orders, it could be because people are finally realizing that they've got a new Polestar 2. But also perhaps because people waited to see if they will drop prices and they realize, hold on, they're not going to drop prices. And this is such a good thing. This is why I want to invest in this company. You know who doesn't drop price? Apple. And guess what? If Polestar doesn't drop price because they didn't, the second-hand resale price of their vehicles, the second-hand vehicles will hold the value a lot better. A lot better. That's what Apple products do. They hold their second-hand value a lot better because guess what? The company doesn't offer any discounts. They don't lower prices. They just give you new products to buy. And they take the old ones off the market. You can't buy an iPhone 7 anymore. You can't even buy an iPhone 8 anymore from Apple. That's my point. They take those off the shelves. They give you new products to buy at more expensive prices. So in recent days, customers have apparently been unable to configure new custom Polestar 2 vehicles in the US. When attempting to do so, Polestar configuration website states, due to high demand, we're currently closed for a new factory order. Please explore our available cars to find the right one for you. I don't want to get too excited because when you get too excited, then dopamine just flies to your brain. And this is what's happening right now. And I'm getting really excited. So I really got to calm down. If you're a Polestar fan as long as I have been, you'll understand that we've been waiting for this for a very long time. We've been waiting for the market to be like, we're ready to order Polestar. And guess what? The Polestar company is like, sorry, but we've got too many orders, so you're going to have to wait. Do you know how powerful that is to tell your customers, we're getting too much orders and you have to wait? This is exciting. I hope this news is not just news. I hope it's actually real. I hope this is genuine. I hope this is real. I hope there is genuinely a huge amount of demands for the Polestar vehicles and people finally realizing that it's a great option of car and people are running to order one because guess what? Not everyone wants a Tesla. So then you can click on a button stating check similar cars for fast deliveries. Problem is they haven't got any. So to see whether there are any inventory which may match your order. But keep in mind that these are also custom cars. Custom cars. So people don't just want to buy any Polestar. They want to customize it. And Polestar is like, we've got too many orders. These are not just the base models. People are actually customizing. You know what that means? Polestar is making more money because people are spending more with the brand. That is brand quality like no other. My millionaire. So up until checking a few different configurations, there do seem to be a good amount of configurations available, at least in Southern California, where electric checked. So on the UK side, a slightly different error message appears. Certain configuration says, configurations not available for factory order. Compare your configurations with available cars. But some other configuration shows that fast delivery is available. Give a timeline when selected. Either way, no mentions of demand across the pond, even though the effects seems to be about the same. This isn't the first time this has happened with an EV, though a lot of EVs end up getting a lot of pre-orders to the point where companies shut down additional orders until they can work through the backlog. Tesla has done this several times in the past. Here's an example from 2022. Tesla has done this. Tesla. I'm going to hold my peace. I'm not going to read into this, certainly not today. But here's some additional information. We reached out for additional comments, and Polestar rep told us that it's temporary and not related to supply or productions or anything like that. So, not a lot more details there. But we do know that currently you can't order a Polestar custom configuration and we'll have to either wait until the configuration is reopened or look for an inventory vehicle instead. This is great. There's demand, ladies and gents. There's demand. We're not down yet. We're gonna rise up. Trust me. Trust me. What's going to happen when people start ordering the Polestar 3? When people get those vehicles on the road and people are asking, like, what are those? What are those? Is that meme going to come back? I hope not. Anyway, Electric's take. This story is interesting given the constant and inaccurate media narrative lately that EV demand is down. A phrase that was used even in another article we saw covering this story about demands supposedly being too high for Polestar to fulfill. Again, that is good. If demands are too high for Polestar to fulfill, that is good. You remember right now, we're not looking to build millions of vehicles. We're looking to build 250K a year or 300,000 vehicles a year, something similar to what Porsche is doing. So that is it for this article. It is quite exciting for anyone who has anything to do with Polestar, especially me. Thank you for watching. I've got a smile on my face that is long as the Golden Gate Bridge. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. And let me know if you're happy for Polestar. Seriously, our order books are going through the roof.